A prominent all-girls private school in Durban has been accused by former learners of years of racism and discrimination. The school is now investigating. Learners who attended the school between 1996 and 2019 sent the school a letter to urge reform for the sake of black people and other marginalized groups. Mayuri Govender, a 2005 matriculant, is one of those who sent a letter to the school. She joins us now. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Ms. Govender. To your mind, what is the sequence of events? How did this whole thing come to where it is now?
Hi, Tippy. So thank you for having me. I think it's been a long road to get where we are. I think that there are a number of issues that need to be addressed in terms of transformation, and I think it's really important that we raise them now.
Okay, so the school sent the head of student affairs from Durban Girls College sent an email to all pupils, past and present, about the use of social media to discuss the death of George Floyd, who was a victim, obviously, as we know, of police brutality in the US. So the letter began by stating that while the school abhors physical violence, it warned that your commitment to DGC and integrity must ensure that you use good judgment in your use of social media as you represent the school. And I'm pointing this out to say, I go back to the question, for the school to write this letter, how did it come to this point? Was it just that former students just started ranting and raving on social media? As you say, it was a long road. What brought you here?
I think a lot of girls have used the correct avenues to engage with the school. I think, unfortunately, many girls have felt unheard. And this is the reason they've taken to social media, is to find a place for their voice to be heard. It has been a long road coming. I think we can use the appropriate channels as much as we'd like to in terms of what the school has set out for us. But unfortunately, this needed to come to light in whatever format it happened to, and that happened to be on social media.
Okay, let's talk about the kind of racism, discrimination that you were subjected to, that made you write a letter to the school, that made a lot of girls speak out on social media because they felt that they were not heard by the school before. And I'd imagine you were there in 2005, so you would share some of those sentiments because you were party to the letter.
Of course. Although I received the letter through social media and I was very deeply disappointed in what I had seen, my experiences echoed a lot of the sentiments echoed by the Indian girls, in that my red string was destined to be cut off. But at the same time, I'd also observed a lot of overt and covert racism myself, in that to do with hair, specifically the hat policies, a lot of the things the girls have already spoken about. But my experiences echoed a lot of what the girls had spoken about, and so they had come to a point where they needed to say something because they were so frustrated.
As you say, some of it was subliminal, some of it was overt. When you reported some of these issues, did you have somebody in authority that you could, report some of these incidents to? What kind of response did you get?
I think that at the time when I was at the school, there weren't that many channels to report it other than through your parents or to the guidance counselor of some sort. We did get, of course, responses around, things we'll take this up or something to that effect. But it wasn't always something that was changed. There was no change in implementation around our feelings in that space. And that's what I'm hoping that these conversations do today.
And were there repeat offenders who were teachers or who were in authority who actually meted out these acts of racism and discrimination?
In my opinion, when I was there, I didn't necessarily see that, but I don't disregard what the girls have gone through now. I think that what the girls are speaking about now, in terms of repeated acts and teachers doing the same things over and over again, I don't dispute that could happen.
But I need to ask you a question quickly before we speak to the school. You were asked to be part of the mediation. You refused. Why is that?
I wanted to be part of a collective solution. I think for me specifically, I think sitting in a space of hearing these stories, being saddened by it, seeing the space that South Africa is sitting in currently today, with June 16th tomorrow, this isn't just a one-on-one situation. These are not isolated incidents. These are issues that affect a global community and a legacy of girls who have had similar situations and incidents in their life. And so my whole intention is to ensure that as a community, we move forward through this. And I didn't believe a one-on-one would do that for me personally.
Mayuri, thank you so much for speaking to us. Mayuri Govender is a 2005 matriculant at Durban Girls College. We're joined now by Verlie Oosthuizen. She's a member of Durban Girls College's Board of Governors. She joins us via Skype. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Ms. Oosthuizen. I want to start with the letter that the school first sent out to address the issue of racism, to how the girls themselves dealt with it. One of the things that was criticism of the letter was that it didn't even acknowledge the fact that George Floyd died as a result of a racist attack. Would you agree with this criticism with hindsight?
I don't know if I do actually agree with that criticism. I think that what the school was trying to say is that I want the girls to feel free to express themselves about issues that affect them, and that we just needed them to use appropriate language. And that, obviously, people get upset with that. But the girls are at school, and there had been another incident probably about 3 or 4 days before, which was unrelated, but it was a social media incident. And it was actually on the back of that this letter was sent out. It wasn't saying don't address issues. It wasn't saying don't address racism at all. The girls are free to address these global issues, and the school welcomes that. It's just that sometimes there is slightly intemperate language used, and that is not something that the school can countenance, and it wouldn't countenance it in any scenario. The girls are expected to use polite language.
Okay, so what I'm saying here is what the girls were saying. So you use an incident which has obviously sparked worldwide protests. It was a brutal incident. It was a racist incident that led to the death of this man. And yet you are calling on these girls who feel that they've been wronged by experiencing discrimination, by experiencing racism. And the very incident that you use to hinge on them to not speak out doesn't acknowledge the fact that it was a racist incident. Do you feel that perhaps you overlooked that in giving them open space to say, you have grievances along this nature, speak to us about it?
I think that we're speaking at cross purposes here, because they didn't say that they didn't want them to speak out on racism. What they were saying is that they applauded them speaking out on injustice. And that is the line that they have always, or the viewpoint that that Girls College has always had. All they were saying was that you just have to be careful the manner in which you express it, and also you cannot force people to post if they weren't feeling comfortable to post, because there had been complaints by some of the girls feeling pressure to post when they didn't feel that they wanted to post.
I don't think we're speaking at cross purposes. This is what the girls' criticism of their letter is, so it's not my opinion. But let's go to the demands that they've made. Have you addressed them? Are you in the process of addressing them? I know you said you are investigating. That investigation is ongoing. Yes, absolutely. And we had another session today with Dr. Judy Dlamini, dealing with that list of grievances and that list of demands. There was a collective meeting, and we went through some of them. We have been given timelines, and we have asked for certain timelines in order to address those issues. And then there's going to be a parallel process of independent investigation, legal investigation into the allegations of racism that can be dealt with within the school in terms of a legal process. And that was recommended by the MEC of KZN for education. Irrespective of what the findings are of that investigation, does the school consider the fact that this is a practice that has been going on for years, that it is so endemic that some of the perpetrators, whether they be teachers or fellow learners, are not even aware of doing it? Mayuri was saying, for instance, that some of it was not as overt as some of which was.
Yes, absolutely. There's a serious problem with systemic racism, and that has been brought to our attention, and it's something that we're really concerned about. It's not just concerned, that we're heartbroken and devastated about, and it's something that we are trying to get information from the girls, because the very nature of what the complaints are, that it is not overt, and everybody has to learn together. So we're asking for the input of the girls. We're asking for the input of the girls within the school, the old girls. We're asking for the input of experts such as Dr. Judy Dlamini in order for us to get this right. And we also are interacting with a number of schools that are dealing with the same issue. For example, there have been lots of private schools that have been in the press, and I've been in contact with some of the leaders and the young people that are leading those complaints against the school to find out what their experiences are. So we're taking this incredibly seriously, and we are not denying at all that this is a problem.
Just saying that because she was also saying that she's reported it, her fellow pupils had reported it. This is a problem dating back to 1996. So, it's heartening to hear that you're heartbroken, but some of them may be surprised to say you are heartbroken when this is something that's been happening for quite a while. You yourself admittedly said it's systemic. So, where is the disconnect? Why are you only feeling heartbroken now?
Well, unfortunately, we live in a society where this is a systemic problem, as we've said, and it needs to be brought to the fore, and that's why movements of this nature are happening. Unfortunately, I wasn't at Durban Girls College. I only came on the board a couple of weeks ago. That's not to say that that's an excuse, but it has been brought to our attention. It has been brought to our attention in a big way. Maybe it's not enough, and maybe we haven't reacted quick enough in terms of it's been going on for years, but we are reacting, not just reacting, we are responding. We are responding meaningfully. We want this. We don't want a knee-jerk reaction. We don't want to just say, okay, well, let's apologize and just move on. We want to deal with this, and we're putting in a process that is going to take a long time, but hopefully is going to forge a new path. And it isn't something that can be done overnight, and it is something that has been occurring for many, many years. So I don't have the perfect answer, unfortunately. All I can say is that we're doing the best we can, and hopefully that is going to reap some rewards.
Verlie Oosthuizen, member of Durban Girls College Board of Governors, thank you very much. Let's take a quick